Are you fascinated by the paranormal and want to hear about encounters that have happened to real-life people in real-life places? Do you need a drink to calm those nerves after hearing some scary stories?
You're listening to Booze and Bourbon.
Well, we invite you to grab a drink, whether it's a coffee or something with a little bit more spirit in it. Grab a blanket, snuggle in, because I'm Kim and that's Jen, and we're Booze and Bourbon.
Welcome back, everyone. I don't know what that was, but I was really going for like a scary
Friday the 13th
yeah,
voice?
And that's what it sounded like, so. Welcome back, guys.
Welcome to Booze and Bourbon.
See, yours is way better. I just sound like some schmeagle under like a rock.
Got a little like demon growl in there.
Yeah.
Do you want to play a game?
Yeah.
Good.
If you can keep this going the whole time, this will be impressive.
Okay. I'll try.
Okay. So it's the big day, Friday the 13th.
It is, yes. It's the big day. Big old scary day.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I just like the movie. That's why I just like the day. But we thought since, we did do a Friday the 13th episode last year, that this year we would just scare the pants off you with some stories that really just, really went wrong.
I like that.
Yeah. And these stories involve games, which we love to play games.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we just did a commercial for Saw, because it's not the same thing that they say in the movie. Yeah.
I really like evoking emotion with these episodes, especially when they're super, super creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like since people have played these games and some people have been able to say what happened and what went wrong, it's super scary.
Yes.
So we're not in any way, shape, or form condoning that you should play these games. We just want to scare you.
Exactly. I have tried them, though. Some. I think everybody had to at some point,
Yeah.
These things happen.
They do, sure. Yeah, I'll get into some of the things that I did when I was a kid and thought it was super cool. Also, in extra creepy news this week, it has been announced that there is a paranormal investigation team called Ghost Storm, and they're doing a live paranormal event, inviting the public to join while they contact dearly deceased souls by a process called scrying. Have you ever heard of scrying before?
No.
Okay. Well, it is in Stratford, Connecticut on March 27th. So if you're in the area and want to go check that out, I think it would be fairly interesting,
Yeah.
but also terrifying, because scrying sounds terrifying alone. And I know I have some information about it, but I'm not sure if everyone has heard it. Like, you haven't heard about it.
No.
But maybe our listeners have heard of it or done it. So it basically deserves its own episode.
Mm-hmm.
And Jen, you could probably do it on a daily basis with mirrors in your house.
Oh, my God.
I know. Do you want to know? Do you want to know more about it?
Yeah, let's just talk about it.
Okay, so if you've never heard of scrying, according to Wikipedia, scrying is known by various names such as seeing or peeping. It is the practice of looking into a suitable medium in the hope of detecting significant messages or visions. The objective might be personal guidance, prophecy, revelation, or inspiration, but down the ages, scrying in various forms has also been a prominent means of divination or fortune-telling. The mediums which are most commonly used are always reflective, translucent, or luminescent surfaces, or objects such as crystals, stones, or glass in various shapes, such as crystal balls, mirrors, reflective black surfaces such as obsidian, even water surfaces, fire, or smoke. Some people prefer glowing coals or shimmering mirages. Some simply close their eyes, notionally staring at the insides of their own eyeballs, and speak of eyelid scrying.
Weird.
Yes. So while not necessarily getting into more scrying this episode, I did feel it was important for you to understand the basis of it, since so many of these paranormal games have to do with looking into a mirror or reflective surface.
Great. I see what you mean now.
Don't go scrying when you go home.
Well, even though the majority of us have probably played one of the games mentioned that we're going to discuss here, when you were a child or obviously a teenager or something like that, we do not condone playing these games.
No.
This is our duty to inform you.
Yes.
These stories are all examples of how these seemingly innocent games went really wrong. Maybe back in the day, you got the idea from the other cool kids at your school like myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the kind of games that involved shutting off the lights to the bathroom, and you little creeps all started chanting into a mirror.
Yes, exactly.
Definitely one of those creeps as well. If you're totally normal like the rest of us and you got interested in the paranormal when you were a child, then you probably played Bloody Mary or the Ouija board. Again, because I was a weirdo, I was the child that played with the Ouija board by herself.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's okay.
That's normal. Yes.
Completely normal. Yes. But yeah, we truly wanted to creep you out, especially since it is Friday the 13th. And with that being said, we don't want you under any circumstances to try this at home. Please, for the love of Krampus, just don't play these games.
That's a horror movie.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, now that we have our legalities out of the way,
yes,
let's get into this bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
So a lovely, lovely dear friend, if he's listening, brought back this bottle for us from New Orleans.
Thank you, friend.
So Eagle Rare.
Mm-hmm.
Little Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey here.
Yeah, I wish that we went to New Orleans and brought that back.
Jealous.
Beautiful.
It is juicy.
It has been recommended that we let this breathe a little bit, but for the sake of the podcast episode, it's already breathed. All right, so Eagle Rare, it has a beautiful bottle. This is what the BTAC Buffalo Trace Antique Collection bottles look like, kind of. Different label, but same shape bottle. So it's very elegant and classy looking. Mm-hmm. And this is also made by Buffalo Trace. It is a 10-year bourbon, and it is an all-around great bourbon, especially for the price.
Other than this bottle, apparently I might have got an expensive one.
Yeah, a little bit, but
somewhat. It's
not like outrageous.
No.
There are some Instagram accounts that I think one's just called Overpriced Bourbon, and the guy takes pictures of outrageously expensive bottles in liquor stores.
Oh.
It's not necessarily governed like it is here. There's like a lot of private little stores, mm-hmm. and they basically charge whatever they want for some of their more premium bourbons. So it's interesting to follow. Potentially this could have been on that list, but it's like in that gray area.
Okay.
Yeah. Needless to say, this is something that you should probably have in your home bar if you want to pretend to be fancy. So yes. You are fancy.
I'm fancy now.
Yep. So on the nose, like immediately get toffee.
Yeah.
Butterscotch.
Strong. Very
citrusy.
Strong.
Yeah, it's a 45%, so it's a 90 proof. Mm-hmm. And the color of it, like I said, is really nice. It's like a honey kind of gold color.
Yeah.
It almost reminds me of the color of like Blanton's.
Yeah.
It's got nice mm-hmm. tones to it. Did you give it a little taste?
Not yet.
It's really sweet. It's really sweet, but kind of tart at the end.
I like it better than I liked it when I first tried it.
Maybe it's the glass.
Maybe it did have to like have a little air. Maybe I shouldn't have just chugged it right out as soon as I popped the top off.
So now you're more of a liker of Eagle Rare.
Because I do like the sweet ones, and this definitely has more of a sweetness to it. It still has a kick.
It does. It definitely has a kick. And I taste like some nutty and some oily kind of like, I think that's where I get like a bit of the tarty, souriness.
Yes.
Yeah. But at the beginning, it's super sweet. So for the finish, it's long, lots of spiciness in there, lots mm-hmm. to keep that bourbon pocket warm. Oh.
I do, yeah.
Jen.
I had to do it again. I just had to try it again.
See, that just goes to show you, because what happened when you called me and you said I got Eagle Rare?
Well, I was disappointed because I remember liking it. And then I was disappointed because I all of a sudden didn't like it because it just didn't taste the same. But maybe it's because I really didn't let it air out.
Open up. There you go. So I'm really glad that you gave it a second chance.
I did, yeah.
Because it's a nice bottle.
It was deserving.
Very deserving.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so without any further ado on bourbon, we're going to play a little game. Do you want to play Would You Rather?
Yes.
Oh,
see,
yes.
That was better, but it wasn't great.
Okay, so Jen.
Yeah.
Would you rather
mm-hmm.
be in these games?
Yes.
the terrifying ghost that comes out of said mirror,
Yes.
like, let's say Bloody Mary,
Mm-hmm.
would you rather be her and go straight after all the little kidlets and show them your gross, scary teeth?
Mm-hmm.
Or would you rather be the Midnight Man and just follow somebody around their house for 3.5 hours? It doesn't matter who the person is, you just follow them around their house. Not specific for children or girls.
Right. I think I'd kind of feel bad scaring all the kidlets. I'd
Yeah.
rather, like, stalk somebody for 3 hours. Seems way more enjoyable.
Yeah.
So,
Unless they were really boring.
unless, there could be some really boring ones out there, but I guess I would just have to suck it up.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
I like it.
Okay. Would you rather?
Mm-hmm.
You've just settled into a really nice bath, super relaxing.
Yeah.
And you thought it was cool to play this game earlier on, but nothing happened. So you got in the tub and now you're there.
Mm-hmm.
So would you rather all of a sudden be surprised by Bloody Mary herself
Okay.
or the Candyman?
Oh, geez.
Either way, you're in the tub. So there's not a whole lot you can do at this point, but who would you rather see?
Man.
Who would you rather see?
I think I'd go for Bloody Mary.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, either way, it's not ideal. I don't want to have the pants scared off me, but, my pants are already off. I'm in the tub.
All right. Good choice. Good choice.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, guys, just after the break, we're going to get into some really scary stories. Stay tuned.
I don't know why I made that noise. Welcome back. And as we mentioned earlier, we do have some super creepy stories to share here on this episode. There are stories of paranormal games going exceptionally wrong. Again, please do not try these at home. These stories are from first-hand encounters and recommend redoing these situations at all.
So the first story we're going to share with you today comes from Kevin Eustace, who's the creator of the podcast We Need to Talk About Ghosts. And if you don't already subscribe to his podcast, you really should, because 1, he's hilarious, and 2, he's very engaging, and 3, he tells some really spooky stories. So again, his podcast is called We Need to Talk About Ghosts, so please go put this on pause and download some of his episodes right now.
Meow.
In his story, he says, I was talking to a mate of mine and he reminded me of a tunnel by where we used to live. Of course, it had a white lady. Folklore-wise, most tunnels around Liverpool, England, allegedly have a white lady ghost. The legend goes that if you stand directly in the middle of the street as a train goes overhead and say, white lady 3 times, when it's dark out, of course, that you will see her. Of course, as kids, we tried it one night. Me, my friend Lewis, and another guy we weren't overly close to, Peter. Anyway, we wait for a train, so it comes and we stand in the road and say, white lady 3 times. Absolutely crapping ourselves, but nothing. So we go home. The next morning, Peter's not in school, and it's about 10 a.m. A teacher pulls me and Lewis out of a lesson and asks what we had done the previous night, so we tell her. She tells us off, Catholics, eh? And we go back to class, bewildered. After school, my parents are outside, fuming. It turns out Peter's mother had been round and kicked off, saying Peter had gone to bed and woke up in the early hours screaming that a woman was standing at the end of his bed and was so shocked that he couldn't calm down. His mother basically said, tell your son to stop scaring mine with nonsense. I was told to not speak to him in school afterwards, and in truth, he avoided us like the plague. So I never found out what the actual story was, but yeah, that's a gone wrong spooky game story. Wow. Kevin, thank you so much for that story.
Thank you, Kevin.
It's great.
Peter, you should man up. Should have talked to her, asked her what she wanted.
Peter.
Pumpkin eater.
Peter, do you want to play a game?
Oh, wow, you are getting so much better at it as the time progresses here.
I'm sorry. Our poor listeners are probably like, wow, it's getting super annoying, Kim. Thanks.
Damn.
Anyway.
All right. Well, let's talk about another creepy game.
Please.
Which I've played, and it was enjoyable. We've all heard of Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary has become popular amongst young people due to shows such as supernatural, thriller movies, and stories throughout modern culture. Originally, Bloody Mary wasn't summoned for the purpose of eye gouging or other bloody reasons. She was summoned for the purpose of showing a woman her future. The woman would do a candlelit ritual, and we'll get into that in a moment, as well as the modern version of Bloody Mary. And if executed correctly, she would either catch a glimpse of her future husband's face, or she would see a skull representing the Grim Reaper, indicating she would die before marriage. Shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yikes.
So you had to see your future husband or your death, basically.
Yep. Nothing in between.
Sweet. What a great game.
What if your future husband is the Grim Reaper?
Right.
What do you do then?
That's a toss-up there.
Jeez.
So these are the items that you need to play the game.
Perfect.
A mirror. Candles. Preferably colored black.
Have one of those.
Yellow, purple, or white.
Don't have yellow or purple, but we can work on that.
Okay. Matches or a lighter, of course. The candle colors mentioned are for protection, white and black. Soothing fear, increasing awareness and intuition is purple. To help open the third eye is yellow. If you aren't spiritual, then the candle color isn't important. So probably for most people, just get some regular candles. But if not, follow the colors. But recommended having a black candle to protect and absorb negativity, and or a simple white candle to protect is something I think you should have regardless of your spirituality. Like, just, we all have white candles anyway, so.
Pretty much, yeah.
Bust it out. The way in which people play are by turning off the lights in the house, or at the very least, the room the person is practicing this in. The ritual is best performed during the late hours of 12 a.m. to 3:03 a.m.
Of course it's 3:03.
So basic.
God.
So basic. Arrange all but one of your candles around your mirror, on the sides of your mirror. It can be in a shrine formation or just so you can see a little. The last candle you're going to hold while you're doing the ritual. Light all the candles, including the one you're holding. Try to calm yourself. Once you're grounded and calm, close your eyes and begin spinning in a circle while chanting Bloody Mary 13 times. Try and visualize an entity as you chant her name. After the 13th chant, open your eyes and face the mirror if you aren't already. You will either see her form in the mirror or only catch a glimpse of a shadowy figure leaving your mirror before she mauls you.
Oh, no.
It's the part that we leave to the end. Those who have seen her and survived her encounter have described her as a rotting skeletal figure with nothing more than bloody bones, long sharp nails, some rotting flesh, and clumps of matted bloody hair.
Oh, my
Sounds
God.
delicious. Some say she's eyeless. Others say she wears the eyes of her past victims.
Oh, that's so terrifying.
So is it just like the most recent one or all of them? Because then you just have eyeballs hanging all over her body. Like, that's kind of like a Christmas tree of eyeballs.
Like
It's
chandelier
weird.
earrings of
Yeah.
eyeballs.
Interesting. Still, others say she will drag you into the mirror to live with her forever. Sweet Jesus. This is not what we played when we were kids.
No.
Now for the more tame historical version of Bloody Mary. For this ritual, all you need is stairs, a dark house, a hand mirror. This is sounding just as bad as the previous version, and a candle. For this version, you need to walk up the stairs backward. What the? Like, that's just dangerous in itself. While gazing into the mirror. Oh, yeah. Falling for sure. It
Yeah.
said you'll see your future spouse's face in the mirror or the skull of the Grim Reaper. So same.
Yeah.
If you see the Grim Reaper, you're destined to die before marriage. This is not tame, guys.
No.
Bloody Mary goes by many names and has many variations to her ritual. Here are some other names she and this game can be known by. Bloody Mary, of course, Bloody Bones, Hell Mary, Mary Worth, Mary Worthington, Mary Wales, Mary Johnson, Mary Lou, Mary Jane. I like Mary Jane. Sally, Kathy, Agnes, Black Agnes, and Aggie Woe.
Whoa. There are definitely a lot of
That's a huge variation of names. Other
It
than
is.
like the Mary stuck there for a while.
Bloody Bones and Aggie don't sound anything alike.
No. I did try it
Yeah.
back in the day.
I remember the bathroom at the school that I tried it at too.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
Nothing.
We all got freaked out though.
But it was like that second after you said the last one that you're like,
I don't
you
want
kind of like close your eyes for a second, like, no.
No. Well, I'm going to tell you a story about someone who played the game and it went horribly wrong.
Tell us.
Okay. So this came from the person on the internet whose username is Just Browsing on the Paranormal subreddit. So the story says, you guys remember how Bloody Mary went, right? We always used to play it as kids and maybe even as adults. But something weird happened when I played it a few years back. A few years back, I was living with my parents, me being the 19-year-old that I am. I decided one night to go ahead and try the Bloody Mary challenge. Word of advice, I've always felt before Bloody Mary something watching me.
Interesting.
I constantly hear scratching, hearing taps, all that minus the usual ghost activity, so I had the bright idea to play Bloody Mary while I was home alone. So I did the ritual by turning off the lights, spinning around 3 times, and every time I spun, I said Bloody Mary. On my 3rd spin, I stopped and I looked around my bathroom, and I didn't see her, but instead I saw a shadow. This shadow was big and dark and very, very scary. I screamed and I turned on the lights. I did a bit of research on what the shadow could be. Oh my God, that's brave. I wouldn't be able to sit there and do research after that experience. And still to this day, it haunts my memory. Somehow I didn't get Bloody Mary, but instead a shadow demon or shadow person.
Which is probably stuck to you now, so congratulations, you have a friend.
Yeah, and insert Post Malone congratulations song here.
Yes.
Which is scary enough as it is, but the comments posted underneath this post are actually more intense, like this one. I did this once, just a few weeks ago. Nothing happened then, but that night when I went to sleep, I had a nightmare. There was this pale girl with long black hair. She was saying things about myself that even I didn't know. When I asked her how she knew all of this, she replied by saying, Mary told me. Sure, it might have just been a nightmare because of what I did, but still waking up to a nightmare like this doesn't feel good at all. And then there's this comment. I did the Bloody Mary thing when I was young once. Nothing happened at the time, but that night I went to sleep on the couch. I woke up and felt really scared. I turned to look into the kitchen, which was directly in front of the bathroom I did it in, and saw this woman with long black hair and a pale face. She stared at me for a few seconds, then turned and walked back into the bathroom. I slowly lowered my head and tried to get back to sleep. I told myself I was dreaming, but I know the difference. I usually always am able to lucid dream, and they're very vivid. This was so real, and I've never done it since, and I don't mess around with that stuff.
Oh. I mean, at least the positive is she went back in the bathroom. She didn't come hang out with you. So
True. That is true.
that's a promising point.
Okay. I don't like that.
She didn't have like a bunch of eyeballs hanging from her either. That would have been a notable point to make. So I guess this is better. Just long hair lady. You know.
Oh my God. The visual you gave everyone of Bloody Mary is just like, it's laughable now.
A Christmas tree skeleton with eyeballs. All right. So we're going to go on to the Midnight Game. I'm sure some of you horror lovers have heard of the infamous Midnight Man and his game. It's all over the internet if you really look for it. If you aren't familiar with the rules and purpose of this game, just hang tight. What comes to mind when you think of the Midnight Game? A game played in the dark, or maybe even the video game adaptation. A fun sleepover game? Possibly. While all of these are valid, the Midnight Game actually has roots as an ancient pagan ritual that was used as a form of punishment for those who disobeyed the gods. The game itself is pretty simple, but the ritual is complex. For those of you with a morbid curiosity, this is how you summon the Midnight Man and how to play his game. First things first, you need a candle and a candle holder, plenty of matches. You cannot substitute the matches for a lighter. A pen and paper, something to draw blood with. Perfect. A wooden front door and salt.
Well, I couldn't play this game because I don't have a wooden front door.
I don't know if I do either.
I don't think you do.
No.
Yeah. Too bad.
Too bad. Someone else is going to have to try it and let us know. Now that you have all of your supplies, let's sort out what you'll be doing. Everything should be set up and ready before 12 a.m., of course. As you won't have time to go back for everything you need once the game has begun, do the following. Write your name on the paper with the pen. Prick yourself and put a drop of blood on the paper. Gather the rest of your supplies. Place the paper with your name and blood in front of the wooden door. Turn off all of your lights, electronics, everything. Basically turn off the main breaker to the house to properly summon. This sounds awful. Light your candle. Once it has reached 11:59, set your lit candle next to the paper and begin knocking on your door 22 times, completing the 20-second knock at the clock as the clock strikes midnight. After the 20-second knock, open your door, blow out your candle, close your door, and immediately relight your candle. Begin moving all over the house. Don't stop moving.
Oh my God, I just got chills.
Keep doing this until 3:33 a.m. This is just too much work.
Oh my God.
Like I said, the game itself is fairly simple, or so it seems. It only takes 3 hours to do. During the course of the game, be mindful of the following. Do not stay in one place for longer than a few seconds at most, or else he will catch you. Do not taunt the Midnight Man. If your candle goes out and you're unable to relight it within about 15 seconds, stop what you are doing and draw a circle of salt around you and do not move until 3:33 a.m. Do not leave your house until the game has ended. Even if you aren't sure if the summoning worked, follow the rules until 3:33 a.m. just to be safe. Do not go to sleep during the game. Obviously, you wouldn't. Do not turn on any lights or electronics. Your candle is the only light source allowed. You'll know when he's near, as you'll feel panic, dread, hear voices, see movement out of the corner of your eye, hear knocks and thuds throughout the house. Long story short, don't let him catch you. Some say he will make you hallucinate your greatest fear. Some say he will haunt you for the rest of your life. So, I mean, like, if you guys want to try this, you are completely nuts. You probably have way too much time on your hands. And I would have messed that up already because I'm not good with time. So I probably would have said the 22 times way past 12:01 and then...
Yeah. I feel like if you're going to play this game, you are very committed to summoning a demon.
Yeah, you have to be really on it. And then to move around your house for 3 hours?
Yeah. Well, this thing
What if your house is small? You're going to be dizzy. You might fall over.
Yeah. Maybe that's part of the game, though.
Candle's going to go out. You're going to have to keep relighting it within 15 seconds.
Circle of salt.
Time.
You got to carry salt around with you everywhere you go.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. But I have some stories of people who have actually played this game. So, this was actually uploaded 8 years ago by Kjor. He says, I've never claimed to be an intelligent man, and I've always been a thrill seeker, especially when it comes to paranormal stuff. So despite any rational sense that would have otherwise told me this was a horrendous idea, I tried it. So with a piece of paper in my hand, my name and a drop of blood on it, and my small candle, which supposedly would be my barrier from this evil creature I'm allowing into my home, I step outside. As instructed, I placed my candle on the piece of paper and proceeded with the ritual. Upon the 22nd knock, I could feel something wasn't right. I began wandering around my house, candle in hand with the salt in the base of the candle holder. That's a good idea. Mm-hmm. The house seemed darker than normal, probably because you don't have any lights or electronics on. Mm-hmm. And my candle seemed dimmer. Walking around, I could barely see anything. If not for the fact I was quite familiar with my home, I might not have been able to get around. At this point, I was almost tiptoeing. I could feel another presence in my home, and I was terrified. About 12:45, I made the mistake of entering my bedroom, walking closer to my closet, and I heard whispering from behind me. To this day, I don't know what it was saying. I was too petrified. Looking behind me at the door leading to the hallway, there was a figure. It looked like an adult man, but it was dark and almost see-through. As soon as I laid my eyes on him, my candle went out and my heart stopped. I grabbed my lighter as fast as possible, and with my hands shaking like mad, I quickly relit my candle. The figure in the doorway looked upon me, then left into the hall. I stood there for a moment, despite all the eerie feelings I had before that encounter. None of it had quite sunk in until that moment. I knew it wouldn't be long before the Midnight Man came back for me, so reluctantly I moved into the hallway, taking short steps and trying to be as silent as possible. I moved to the stairway landing downstairs, the downstairs being very open so I could see into the living room below. I could feel something down there. From the faint glow on my candle, it would appear that there was a figure sitting on my couch. Suddenly, it spoke to me again. "I've been waiting for you."
Oh.
It stood up and approached the base of the stairs. It began to walk up the stairs. My upstairs is built in such a way that there is one hallway and 3 rooms, leaving very little options available for me to escape my pursuer. Knowing the rules of this game, I had at least 10 seconds after my candle would go out to relight it. It would appear at this point that I had no other option. I waited until the Midnight Man got close enough up the stairs to diminish my flame and made my move. I charged at him with all my speed, narrowly dodging him moving down the stairs. I felt his hand on me as if he was trying to capture me and put me under his spell, but I was within the 10 seconds allowed. As I hit the landing at the bottom of the stairs, I relit the candle and proceeded to run into the kitchen, affording me multiple exits. Rule 1 of the Midnight Game is to keep moving during the Midnight Game. I knew this, but at this point I was too petrified and slightly out of breath from my mad dash. I sat down on the counter and took a few minutes to catch my breath and calm down. I checked my watch. 1:30 a.m. Another 2 hours of this nightmare. I rested in the kitchen for what seemed like days. Every bump, every step in the distance, every whisper in the distance, they all take me down a peg. With every passing moment, I feel my spirit crumbling and grow closer to tears. The Midnight Man finally found my sanctuary in the kitchen, and I quickly moved away. I stayed downstairs for the next while. The downstairs of my house has more loops and interconnecting rooms, allowing me to avoid him. I continued avoiding the Midnight Man for another hour, and at 2:30 I made the mistake of allowing myself to get pushed upstairs. I retreated to my bedroom once more, only this time when the Midnight Man extinguished my candle, he continued toward me. I drew my hand up with my lighter to relight the candle, flick flick. I sparked the flint repeatedly, but that was it. Sparks, no flame. I had lost this game, but I knew I must at least protect myself. I poured the salt around the circle around me. The Midnight Man approached me, growing closer. With each step, I grew less and less confident that my circle would protect me, but I had no choice but to hope. The Midnight Man drew closer, and as he finally grew within reach of my circle, he reached out his hand. I closed my eyes, preparing myself to face the worst nightmare for the next hour, and as I waited, I grew more calm. But the nightmares never came. I opened my eyes and looked right at the Midnight Man, his hand trapped right outside my barrier. We sat in this manner for the next hour, staring at one another. I can't help but feel like we bonded during this time, like he was my friend.
Oh, Lord.
Finally, at 3:32 a.m., looking at me one last time, and at 3:33, he turned around and walked away. I waited inside my barrier until the morning. The house felt calm as he left, but I didn't. The memories to this day still haunt me, and every night at 12, I still fear that he'll come back for me.
You know, guys, that's just a lot, really. Like, that's a lot of time.
A lot of commitment.
Like, what if you get tired? You can't fall asleep. You got to keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
Does a lot. All right.
Not ideal.
The elevator game.
It sounds fun, but is
The
it fun?
elevator to another world. I mean, no, not really, but
Okay.
only one person can play at a time. You can only perform this ritual in a building at least 10 stories high with at least one elevator in it. You cannot proceed otherwise. Instructions. Traveling. Enter the elevator from the first floor by yourself. If anyone else gets on, then understand that you cannot continue from the first floor and wait until the elevator can be taken alone. Press the button for the 4th floor. Do not get out when the elevator reaches the 4th floor. Stay in the elevator and press the button for the 2nd floor. Do not get out when you reach the 2nd floor. Stay on the elevator and then press the button for the 6th floor.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes.
This is
a lot
also
as well.
a lot of commitment.
So as you know, do not get out when you reach the 6th floor. Remain in the elevator and press the button for the 2nd floor. Do not get out when you reach the 2nd floor. Stay on the elevator and press the button for the 10th floor. Some have reported hearing a voice calling to them on the 2nd floor during the middle section of the ritual. Do not reply. Do not answer in any way. Do not get out once you have reached the 10th floor. Stay on and press the button for the 5th floor. It has been reported by some that a woman may enter the elevator on floor 5. She may appear as a stranger who wishes to engage with you. More importantly, she may appear as someone you know. It is important that you do not acknowledge her in word or glance. If the elevator you are in is reflective, then stare at the floor or the buttons only. Now press the button to head to the first floor. If instead of it going towards the first floor, you instead begin to ascend to the 10th, then you have performed the ritual correctly. However, this is very important. If you instead do descend to the first floor, then you have done something wrong. Get off on the first floor immediately. If the woman is on the elevator, then remember not to acknowledge her. If you reach the 10th floor, you can either stay on the elevator or exit the elevator. Some have reported that upon attempting to leave the elevator, the woman will try one last time to engage with you. She may raise her voice and ask you where you're going, what's wrong. She may shriek as you cross the door's threshold. Keep your wits about you. Do not engage or look at her, even out of fear. This is the only way to know whether you have traveled to the other world for sure.
Oh, my Lord.
And you will know because you're the only person there.
Can I just intersect for 1 second?
Yes, please do.
I apparently didn't know this at the time. I wasn't following these exact rules, but one of my very first memories, like I was probably 2 years old, house that we lived in, that we were moving from. And in each of the bedrooms, there were 3 bedrooms. In each of the bedrooms, there was like a common closet.
Mm-hmm.
But the common closet actually had another door that went out to like the outdoor deck on the top floor. And so my brother, who's a lot older than me, him and I would go in there and I would play elevator. And I'd be like, take me to the second floor. And he'd like open up this other door and it was like a different room. And so I would played the elevator game when I was like 2 years old. Thank God I didn't know this. Maybe that's what's wrong with me.
It's very intricate. I don't think that you would have remembered it at that time, but
no.
It's a lot. So traveling back to your home world, press the button for the first floor and keep pressing it until the elevator begins to move. Once you have reached the first floor, exit immediately. Do not exit on the other floors, but just the first. Do not acknowledge the woman if she's on the elevator. If anyone else gets on, then do not speak to them either. Remain silent. If you do exit the elevator on the 10th floor, the elevator you used to get there is the only one you can use to return. Remember it. When you get back on the elevator, press the buttons in the same order you did in steps 2 through 8, which you used to travel. This should take you to the 5th floor. Once you have reached the 5th floor, press the button to the first door. Do not be surprised when you instead begin to ascend again to the 10th floor. Do not panic. You can press the button of any floor lower than 10 to stop ascending, but you have to do it before you again reach the 10th floor. Some have described feeling called not to cancel the elevator's ascension. You must. Once you have canceled the ascension and reached the first floor, make sure that everything seems normal to you. If anything seems remotely strange, if you hear anything you should not be hearing, if you smell something you don't recognize, then do not exit the elevator. You have to repeat step 2 until everything on the first floor seems normal. This is very important.
Like, should you write these instructions out?
I would have to have a Bristol board sign in there with me because I would definitely fail. Once you are satisfied that everything on the first floor is as it should be in your world, then you can exit the elevator. Additional information on traveling. The other world has been described by travelers as dark, but otherwise exactly like your home world. Again, you will know that it is not your world because no one else will be there. You may see a distant red cross through a window. This may be a cross or it may be something else. Electronics often do not work, but some have posted videos claimed to have been taken while traveling to the other world.
Oh, Jesus.
We should YouTube that.
We can.
Okay.
We can.
You may become disoriented if you exit on the 10th floor. You may feel dizzy. Be vigilant, pay attention to how you are feeling, and keep your wits about you. If you pass out, you may wake up at home, but understand it may not be your home world. It also may not be the other world you intended to travel to by evoking this ritual.
Oh, no.
Examine everything around you to make sure it is as it should be. If you get on the wrong elevator on your return trip, then do not enter the return sequence. It will not work. Regarding the woman, do not speak to her, do not look at her, do not check to see if she's still there. She is.
Oh my God.
That is a lot.
It's a lot, but it's also very, very scary.
It is scary. But like, that's a lot of commitment. It's a lot of time.
Yeah. You're right. It is. So
We can go to the Maritime Center in Halifax and try it out sometime.
oh my God.
But you could never, you would just
There'd
fail
be way
because there'd be too many people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to find like an old shitty hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a story of someone who did it. And there are some unbelievable stories. So we admitted those because they sounded really far-fetched. Mm-hmm. But this one seemed pretty realistic. Anyway, I think so. So where did it go? Okay. It was a Friday evening at work when this struck me. I didn't have any big plans for the weekend, so I decided I'd drive back to work on Saturday and test it out at my workplace. It'd be better to try this out in a familiar territory since it'd be a Saturday, and I wouldn't have to be worried about people interrupting me. So Saturday morning, I drove back into my office, left my car in the parking lot, and walked up to the building. The lady at the security desk, Sophie, greeted me and was surprised to see me in over the weekend. After some small talk, I asked her if anybody was in today, and she said I was the only one yet. Well, so far, so good. I got into the elevator, checked my cell phone for the list of the order of the floor buttons that I had to press. Well, I probably should have mentioned that the last button you press in the whole sequence is the first floor. But if the ritual has worked, your elevator should start ascending to the 10th floor instead. Being a numbskull, I messed up the sequence in my first try. I pressed the button for the first floor in an attempt to start the ritual again. I got off and Sophie asked me if everything was all right. I lied that I thought I'd forgotten my keys in the car, but I just realized that I actually had them in my pocket. I got into the elevator again and quickly went through the entire sequence and finally pressed the button to the first floor. To my dismay, the elevator did not ascend to the 10th floor, but started descending, as a normal elevator would. No creepy woman had entered on the 5th floor as the game had prophesized either. I got off on the first floor thinking about what I'd say to Sophie for literally getting off on the first floor for the second time in a few minutes. I looked up at the security desk and I froze. There was a man sitting there. And when I say sitting there, I mean just sitting there motionless, staring into nothingness, blankly. Hello, where's Sophie? I stammered. He slowly turned in my direction and shook his head. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Did she leave? I asked, with bile rising up in my throat. He shook his head again, and his mouth was open, but no sound came out. Jesus fucking Christ. I thought I'd better leave, as this was getting really creepy. As soon as I stepped out of the building, I froze again. The sky was pitch dark. No stars, no nothing. As I thought it was midnight. That's not possible. It was literally 11 a.m. a few minutes ago. I checked my cell phone. It had no network service anymore, but the clock showed 11:10 a.m. I hurried over to the parking lot and found that it was empty. My car wasn't there. I was starting to panic. The only possible explanation was that this game had actually worked. But what I was experiencing wasn't what I had read. The sky wasn't crimson, there was no red cross in the distance, and I sure as hell wasn't alone. That dude sitting at the security desk reminded me of that fact. I thought for a few minutes and decided that doing the ritual all over again was probably the only way to set things straight. I walked into the building again and froze for the third time. This time there was a different man sitting behind the security desk. As I looked at him, he turned to me and smiled. And let me tell you, it wasn't no Mona Lisa smile. It was way too long for a normal human smile, and he was missing a lot of teeth. Without looking at him again, I stepped into the same elevator. That's one of the rules of the game as well. I followed the same steps I had before, and right before I could press the button for the first floor, the elevator came to a stop on the 4th floor. The door opened and a man entered. Now, I'm not stupid enough to be told not to do something, but end up doing it anyway. The game clearly said when the woman entered on the 5th floor, I was not to acknowledge her presence. This wasn't the 5th floor, and this didn't seem to be a woman. I looked straight down at my own feet. "Hello," the man hissed. "How are you today?" The elevator started to ascend. Fuck, I thought to myself, we should be descending, not going upwards. The elevator stopped at the 10th floor, and the man stepped out. I quickly pressed the button for the first floor. Have a nice day, he hissed as he was walking away. You too, I said instinctively. Fuck. I shouldn't have been so polite. The man turned around and started to walk briskly back towards the elevator. Oh my God. I rammed the close the door button really hard and the door shut as soon as he was about to get in. I heard him pound on the door as I started to descend. Oh my God. Praying to every god I could think of, I got off on the first floor. Hey, you're back again, Sophie asked me, a little surprised as I stepped out. I didn't answer for a few seconds, but just stared at her. What? She asked, turning a little pink. Oh, nothing. Really should get home, I said, breathing heavily. And I sprinted out of the building, leaving her confused. The sky was bright again, and I could see my car in the distance. I drove straight home and rushed to my room. I checked everything I could find online about this damn game, people's experiences and stories, but couldn't find anything that was similar to what I had just been through, so I finally gave up. That was the last time I'm ever going to try out one of these stupid internet paranormal rituals, and I would advise anyone who reads this or listens to this against it. What do you think about that?
Well, that's a lot.
It is. Scary.
That's scary.
The part that scared me...
I don't mind elevators, but I feel like I would start to not like elevators because it's like a lot of like up and down, up and down. Mm-hmm. And then you never know when somebody gets in, like, are you a
And why did that guy like run back and like try to get in the
Because he obviously wasn't like a normal person. He was from the other world.
Not cool. No. So there's been a lot of talk on the internet about, if you remember, Elisa Lam, the Canadian girl who was found in the water cistern at the top of the Cecil Hotel. A lot of people say that she was playing the elevator game, as there's video footage of her acting strange in the elevator and walking in strange ways.
Yes.
I remember you and I first looked at that video together on a break when we were working together, and we were like, oh my God, look at her hands. What's she doing with her hands?
Yep.
Yeah, so maybe she was playing this game.
It didn't work out so well.
No,
No.
it didn't. So anyway, guys, we hope that we scared you. We hope that you don't ever say, Booze and Bourbon told us to go play this game.
Yeah, don't do that.
Please, don't. I know you guys are all smart, so just don't do it.
Snitches get stitches.
Oh, yeah. Snitches.
We didn't tell you. We actually warned you to not play these games.
True.
But, I mean, if you want to, that's up to you.
So, guys, this pretty much wraps up today's storytelling, and we sincerely hope you enjoyed that, and we hope that we scared you too, because that's the whole idea. So if people want to find more scariness and see our ugly mugs on social media, Jen, where can they find us?
Well, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, just really anywhere you can find podcasts. And Patreon, of course.
Yes. So we do have some Patreon shout outs for the month of March. We really want to thank our Patreon supporters because honestly, without your support, this podcast wouldn't be constantly improving. We've been able to get video editing software because of you, extra lighting, a new camera lens. Dogs at the SPCA have been able to get donations.
Yeah.
So seriously, guys, thank you so much for believing in us. And here is our Patreon shout out list for March.
We have Miss Becca Sue,
Ms. McNew,
the ABV Network,
the Ghost Story Guys,
Frank Murch,
Aaron with an A,
Aaron Hamilton,
Andy Greer,
Justine Mays,
Cindy Bussey, and her book, Annie Goes to Oak Island.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. We sincerely think you guys are amazing. And if you aren't already a Patreon and you wish to become one, head over to patreon.com/booze and bourbon to see all the details. And if you don't want to become a patron, but wish to support the show, this is what you can do.
You can subscribe to our show. You can give us a 5-star review. You can write a review and you can tell your friends about us.
So thank you guys so much for listening to the show today. And we will be back for an all-new episode next Friday.
And Kim's going to work on her scary saw-like voice again. It's going to improve. I can feel it. Thanks, guys.
We're just here for the booze. Bye.
Booze and Bourbon is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to advertise on the show, please head over to abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening. and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.